The pure in heart shall see God, and the people who see God shall become pure.
Let's talk about purity. The very message David E. Taylor built his entire ministry on. The same message he preached to millions, while secretly sleeping with multiple women, while he was married. Yeah, let that sink in. He told those women to stay celibate, to honor God, to follow him as a man of God, all while he was breaking every vow behind closed doors. But now, the silence is over. We've heard the stories, and now we've got the voices to back them up.
That's right, I said it. You punk religious idiots. I want to talk to you through the camera tonight, because I know a lot of you speak evil and you tell your people against this ministry and against these visitations from Jesus. But I'm going to say this, and I know Christ is backing me. That's why I called you a punk to the devil. That's what you are. He's going to judge you for turning people away from his face.
I did not feel like a wife. I felt like a stepchild. I didn't even feel like his child.
I stopped counting at 100 women that told me that they were in a relationship with David. I gave a lot of money. Yeah. I regret it, but I gave a lot of money.
And we're done being quiet. We're done being manipulated. And we're done letting wolves hide behind pulpits. Before we go any further, let's do something powerful. Right now. Let's make sure the 500 million people still in the dark are no longer deceived. Hit that subscribe button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let your voice be heard. Share this with everyone you know. All right, listen up. We need to talk about David E. Taylor. This guy built his entire brand on holiness, obedience, and these wild claims of having face-to-face conversations with Jesus. Like he's got Jesus on speed dial, just texting back and forth. He told his followers he sat down with Jesus, got direct instructions straight from heaven, and was handpicked to lead God's people. Sounds impressive, right? But here's the real tea. Behind all that preaching and those so-called divine encounters, there's a federal indictment hanging over him and Michelle Bratton. And we're talking serious charges, conspiracy to commit forced labor, and financial crimes involving church funds.
Put down $5 million for this campus that's coming. That's how much they want us to put down. The vision is very massive. So the Lord told me, he says, I'm going to give you 400 million just to establish in St. Louis alone the 100,000 seat stadium. We will own this. You understand?
Allegedly, they made followers work for free and manipulated millions of dollars under the guise of ministry. And while the case is still playing out, it's painting a picture of a man whose holy man act might just be the biggest hustle ever. So here's my question for you, and be honest now. If David E. Taylor really had a direct line to Jesus, would Jesus tell him to have affairs with dozens of women in his church, embezzle millions of church dollars, or worse, abuse the very women who trusted him? Come on. You know that can't be right. Let that laugh out. This isn't holiness. This is a disgrace to the church and everything it's supposed to stand for.
Rebellious. I don't put up with it. So when I rebuke my staff, that ain't none of your business.
Now, I want to hear from you. What do you really think about all this? Is this just spiritual abuse? A huge deception? Or something even darker?
I kept a secret. People keep a secret. If you can't go down the street with the guy you're dating, and you can't go to a restaurant or go meet his family, you can only meet him in the hotel.
Let's get into the real story. The one behind the lights, behind the pulpit, behind the divine encounters. Because the deeper we go into the story of David E. Taylor, the more twisted it gets. And that's why we keep going back to the interviews, the testimonies, and the first-hand accounts from the women who were actually there. I'm talking about the real story, the one being told by the people who were closest to him, his ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend. These aren't outsiders. These are women who were in it, who saw it all unfold behind closed doors. They were there when the cameras stopped rolling. They stood by him. They loved him.
time and have sex with multiple of the women that were within our ministry, a lot of times I didn't even want to be around because I just didn't like to be around him. I was afraid of him most of the time. I said, Joshua, what's wrong with you? And he kind of stirred off in space, and he's about 10 years old at this time. And he began to stir off in space, and he said, Mommy, Daddy said that you're going to be in a car accident and you're going to die. These are things that were said to my children when they were young. Even when I was in the ministry all that time, one of the reasons why I was afraid to leave, I hated being where I was.
They believed in his ministry, and then they watched it all collapse from the inside out. One of those women is Vicky, a gospel artist with her own ministry, her own platform, and her own following. And she's not staying silent anymore. She says David E. Taylor spiritually and emotionally abused her, used her, and turned her into a prop, just a piece of his act on a stage dressed up as divine destiny. He told her God said she was his spiritual wife. Sounds holy, right? Sounds deep, almost prophetic. But behind her back, this man was allegedly out here sleeping with dozens of other women while standing in a pulpit preaching purity.
Convinced you that you are in a okay relationship because he's best friends with Jesus and he's immune from all of that and you're going to be okay. He said, God just really cared. And I would say stuff to David. David, this ain't right. He said, it's okay. I'm best friends with Jesus. I stopped counting at 100 women that told me that they were in a relationship with David. Many of them said they were his wife, said to keep it just between them because church people are messy. That's what he told me. Church people are messy, Vicky, and I'm going to marry you one of these days, but just, don't tell anybody. David told his wife, said, act like you knew about this when we got here and that you forgive me. And she said, what? Well, he said, you'll see. When he got out there, all the 8 deacons were out there and they were confronting him. He slept with everyone.
And here's what I need you to think about right now. Does God tell a man to lie to his partner in his name? Does Jesus FaceTime you just to give you the green light to cheat, manipulate, and abuse the people who trust you the most? Would a true apostle use scripture to control women while doing the opposite of everything he preaches? Let's be real. That's not holiness, that's hypocrisy in a suit. So what do you think? Is this a case of spiritual manipulation? Brave women are finally exposing the truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. If you've ever been hurt by someone in spiritual leadership, this is your moment to speak. Let's bring this into the light, because the longer we stay silent, the longer people keep getting hurt.